Hey, how's everyone? So I am now in Banff, Canada, which is about an hour and 20 minutes drive from Calgary in Canada. And we're having a 1 week retreat here called the Seduction of Spirit. There are about 350 people here for a week-long experience in deep meditation. So I have to start my session in a little while, but I thought before I do, I can possibly comment on today's question, which is from Psychedelicacy. It's, of course, thanks, Davin Lawrence, for sharing this video with others. Thank you. The question is from Psychedelicacy, and it's based on discussions we are having at Discovering Your Cosmic Self and Why It Matters. Many people are reading this book, You Are the Universe, Discovering Your Cosmic Self, Why It Matters. My co-author is Menas Kafatos, and of course I and he and many others are very grateful for your support of this book. So today's question is from Psychedelicacy. She says, how can we for sure know which way it is? I always seem to drift back and forth between viewing things as all one non-local consciousness and then to viewing everything scientifically. Here's a quote related to this topic from the scientific point of view. And she quotes the great Carl Sagan, quote unquote, if we long to believe that the stars rise and set for us, then that we are the reason there is a universe, does science do us a disservice in deflating our conceits? Carl Sagan. So first of all, just going to that quote from Carl Sagan, I think the key to the answer to that question that Carl Sagan raises is who is offering that opinion? What is offering that opinion? Who or what wants to know? So Psychedelicacy, when we say how can we for sure know which way it is, I always seem to drift back and forth. So who or what is the I that seems to drift back and forth? This is very crucial because if the who or I is a person, then certainly the universe is not created by a person. But if the person and the process are both an experience, but if the person and the universe are both a simultaneous process in that which we call I, then the answer is possible. It's possible then to know what the answer might be. Okay, so she goes on, Psychedelicacy, what determines who ends up existing within the universe, multiverse, reality, and who doesn't? Once again, the answer to your question is, who is the I that asked this question? Why am I part of reality opposed to not ever being a part of reality? I don't fully understand that. Why is there something rather than nothing? Well, the something is experience. The nothing is that in which the experience is happening, which we're calling awareness. Why is there physical reality? Well, I think the model which we are talking about right now, which we can call the awareness only model, or we can call the consciousness only model, says that there is no physical reality. The physical reality is an experience, and the names we give physical reality are human constructs for modes of knowing and experience in me. And as a friend of mine, Anup Kumar, pointed out the other day, I had a very interesting visit from him that even the word construct is a construct. Even the word knowing and experience is a construct. So you can say that language fails to describe reality. So let's just see where this is all leading us. I think that if you really understand pure consciousness as the ontological primitive, pure awareness as the ontological primitive, then you realize that, and leaving aside the fact that we have to use words to describe everything. Luis Alberto, thank you for sharing. Thanks everyone who's sharing this video. I will continue to be grateful to you for expanding the conversation around You Are the Universe, but right now I don't want to be too distracted by looking at all your comments. I'll come back to the comments later and I will address them as much as I can. But what I was saying is, as long as we're using words and we have no choice, language is a symbolic expression of how we communicate experience. Language is a symbolic expression of experience and our ability to communicate it, as we're doing right now. But of course, as I've said many times, words are always inadequate because we don't, unless we know where the word came from, what is the word symbolically trying to express, and what is the word symbolically trying to express? An experience, a mode of knowing in awareness. So the word is in fact a modified form of awareness or consciousness. So let's try and examine this process very, very simply. Is there anything that you can know, that is not an experience or an inference of an experience, whether that's your experience or somebody else's experience? Is it possible for us to know anything that is not an experience or an inference of an experience? I think the answer is obvious. Knowing itself demands that someone or some entity is wanting to know. And so what is that entity that wants to know? In the consciousness only model, we're saying it is awareness that wants to know. And so it knows through experience. So let's start a simple process. Instead of calling this a book, which is obviously a human construct, let's call this an experience. And if we call this as an experience, then we can also go a little further and say it's a perceptual experience. It's the experience of form, of color, in this case of hardness, of smell, of taste, and sound. It's a perceptual experience. And Lynette Correa and 35 others shared the video. Thank you very much, Lynette. So it's a perceptual process. Where is the perceptual process occurring? The perceptual process is occurring in awareness. In fact, awareness is knowing itself as this entity. At the same time that awareness is knowing this thing that we call Deepak, the body-mind that we call Deepak, awareness is knowing itself as Deepak. Awareness is knowing itself as the room I'm in, with that beautiful light streaming in. And awareness is knowing itself as all experiences that you are having, I am having, what we call birds are having, snakes are having, crocodiles are having, bats are having. All these are species of awareness. Well, I don't know what else to call them. And they're all experiencing a universe, and some of them have shared experiences. So bats have shared experiences with other bats, and birds have shared experiences with other birds. But then all these different species of consciousness are having shared experiences that kind of leak out of their particular species domain. So, if I threaten a bird or a snake or an animal, it reacts because it has having its experience in that particular species of experience is threatened by me. But you can also be in love. You can also be in love with a dog or a cat, and then you're sharing that experience with that particular species of consciousness. So, which universe is real? Well, it's real for the one who's experiencing it. It is real in the sense that it is an experience. It's a transient experience, but it's still an experience. So it's real for the one who's experiencing it. Just like when you're in a movie and you like the movie, you get involved with the characters in the movie, and soon you're part of the movie, even though you're sitting in the cinema hall, and you forget that you're there in the cinema hall, and you forget that you're watching a movie. You're rooting for the characters, the good people in the movie, and you want the bad people in the movie to be vanquished, and you're totally involved in the drama of the movie, and then afterwards you leave and you're driving home. You don't notice the scenery because you're still kind of involved with the characters in the movie. So what I'm saying is here that consciousness dreams up, awareness dreams up individual modes of experience by forgetting its infinite status, but just localizing as this body-mind experience with its own universe. Consciousness leaves its home, which is timeless domain of all possibilities, infinite realm of potential, immeasurable potential of all that was, is, and will be, creates certain modalities of its being, modes of its being, as perceptions, as sensations, as images, feelings, thoughts. So Solongo says she's experimenting with the grounding center devices that she got from Jayo, and I wish you good luck. I use them even when traveling. Grounding is a good way to connect to the earth. Okay, sorry for the break. So here is the entity that we call Deepak Chopra, having an experience right now, speaking to all of you, writing this book, staying in this room. Is this all a dream? Yes. Dream in the sense that it is an appearance and a disappearance in every moment of now. I shouldn't even say every moment of now, in every now, and the now itself is timeless. So the I, which is the ontological primitive, the witnessing awareness behind all scenery and modes of seeing, is having an experience called Deepak Chopra, and the sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, sense perceptions that are modulations of this localized awareness as both the dream character that is called Deepak Chopra and the other dream characters that Deepak Chopra is interacting with, that are having a shared experience in a shared mind, in a shared frequency domain of an infinite consciousness. And this is very obvious in the dream that we call the dream at night. There are appearances and disappearances of characters, including yourself. There's a seer, there's a scenery, there are modes of seeing, there's a story all jumbled up, and all of it goes on and off all the time. Marcus, thank you for sharing the video. Everyone else, thank you for sharing this. Thank you for all your good wishes, the hugs and kisses and the hearts that are appearing on my screen. Okay, so we are all dream characters living in a dream universe that is what we call a human universe, because we experience the universe through human consciousness. We are experiencing the universe through a mode of being called human consciousness. And everything that we experience arises and subsides in every now, the timeless now. So this experience we're having right now together on the screen will soon be disappearing, and then the dream, this particular aspect of the dream, will be over. But our whole lifetime is that of a dream character in a dream world. A baby, a teenager, an adult, an older person, and then the experience is over as death. In a way, we experience that every night when we go into deep sleep. The appearances suddenly shut off and settle into being without experience. So we are doing that. Quentin and 52 others, thank you for sharing the video. So deep sleep is a state of non-local being, and dream is a relative state at night, the dream at night, with lots of leaky margins. And then, of course, it seems more ephemeral, more transient, but not when you're having it. When you're having it, it is very real. So now we can say we are at this moment, all of us, in a waking dream, because it's just constantly and intermittently at the same time a stream of sensations, images, feelings, thoughts, sense perceptions, which are modifying themselves into this. But this is over as soon as it happens. So the waking state is totally a dream, definitely. It's a more convincing dream. So my friend Anup Kumar, and you should look up his blog about his meeting with me. I just tweeted his article. Check out my Twitter to check out his article and my conversation. What he said is, he used the word hallucination. We don't call the dream a hallucination, we call it a dream. But it is mind stuff. It's the vibration of consciousness knowing itself as the dream state. And so too, the waking state is mind stuff. Nobody has ever shown the existence of an entity called matter. Matter is another construct that humans have come up with for the experience of hardness, solidity, shape, form, sound, touch, taste, smell, etc. Okay, so what happens when we wake up from the dream? What happens when you go to sleep at night? What happens at death? It depends, in my opinion on your current state of awareness. Because if your current state of awareness is such that you have never actually experienced total self-awareness, being, not an altered state of awareness, not an altered state of consciousness, not a feeling of being high, not a hallucination, but just if you have grounded yourself in being and you're awake in the presence of the presence that we call being, then what you know is that is the all-encompassing reality in which innumerable dreams are happening right now, and that ultimately you are that Tattvamasi. I am that. All that is all that is that Aham Brahmasmi. You are the one that is dreaming the universe. You not as the body-mind. Remember, the body-mind is part of the dream. So what happens? First of all, what happens is there is no fear of death because birth and death are constructs with the construct that there is a body. But in the deeper reality, there isn't. So you have no fear of death. You get rid of constructs. Or you use constructs to navigate experience, but you don't identify yourself with those constructs. Secondly, you also realize that everything that you're experiencing right now is centuries of conditioning, and that it's a projection of your conditioned self, that it is not the real reality, although you are experiencing it as real. Thirdly, you realize that the ego itself is part of the dream. And fourthly, you realize that only the invisible is real. The visible is a modification of the invisible. So what? Well, there is joy in being. There is existence as being. There is flow as being. There is richness of experience as being. There's effortless spontaneity as being. There is synchronicity in being. There is effortless creativity in being. Saeed, David, Farman, and 64 others shared your video. I so appreciate it. So, April rushing. We live in a dreamscape, yes, but you are a character in the dreamscape as well. So you're a dream character in the dream scape. Rupert Spira, my friend Rupert Spira, one of the best non-dual teachers, uses the analogy of a screen, and then there's a movie on the screen, and from the point of view of each of the dream characters in the movie, they are experiencing a local universe, and they experience everybody else as real, including themselves, but the screen is the only reality which is modulating itself as all these dream characters that are interacting with each other. So the screen of awareness, the screen of consciousness. A good analogy would be to look at a whole room or even a whole city in a mirror, and they all wear different, they all have different appearances. There are buildings, and there are people, and there are animals, and there's a city, and they all seem to be separate from each other. They have depth, they have boundaries, but it's all the one mirror in which all this is happening. The mirror of consciousness, in which all seers, all modes of seeing, and all sceneries are arising and subsiding in every now, in the timeless now. So, a richness of experience, effortless spontaneity, effortless creativity, flow, spontaneous evolution, carefreeness, joy, existence as timeless being are worthy prizes that occur when we wake up from the dream. And then you also know that the dream and the way the experience occurs, you can have any dream you want. You can also be attached to any dream for as long as you want to be attached to the dream because you're enjoying it. Now, once, of course, we get so separated from the source that we totally forget our original state, then that creates fear, and fear creates anger and hostility and resentment and shame and depression, and then we start hurting each other, and then we have wars and terrorism, we destroy the planet, we create climate change, we create weapons, we kill each other, on and on. So I think one of the advantages of knowing that we are dream characters in a dreamscape is to actually upgrade the illusion, upgrade the dream, and then we can all enjoy a good dream, and that would be more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier and happier and joyful world with more compassion, more empathy, more joy, and more life, more vibrancy. And then we would know that being and love are synonymous, that love is not a mere sentiment or emotion, but the ultimate truth at the heart of the universe. Okay, so I think I may have answered today's question. In any case, I had a good time trying to answer it. And now let me show you some of the dreamscape of where I happen to be at the moment. So I'm in outside of Calgary in a place called Banff, up in the mountains. And let me show you the scene from here. This is what the dreamscape is. So I'm sharing the dreamscape with you right now. It's a beautiful dreamscape, isn't it? And we have collectively projected this as a human species. Look at the sky, look at the clouds, look at the mountains, look at the stream, look at the rivers. Now the human body mind, which is part of this dreamscape, is projecting this through a human nervous system, which is also part of the dreamscape. The human body mind, the human brain, names we have given to our own modes of knowing and experience, and through which this is all happening. Okay? So let's conclude with 4 possible conclusions. Number one, let's conclude with a few possible conclusions. Number 1, the real you was never born. Number 2, everything you see right now and experience right now is a projection of your conditioned mind. Number 3, the invisible is the source of the visible, and therefore you are the invisible, timeless being that is independent of birth and death. And number 5, 6, whatever you want to call it, let's actually start dreaming together so that we can create a more peaceful, just, sustainable, healthier, and joyful world. How about that? And then let's continue this conversation and continue to expand on it so that we can collectively dream the dream If you dream it all by yourself, somebody, and call it reality, then somebody might think you're hallucinating and that you're psychotic. But I feel that the world now depends on all of us, a motley group of sages, psychotics, and geniuses. Thank you and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, and I'll connect tomorrow. Okay? Bye bye.